Japan has one of the lowest obesity rates in the developed world, around 4%. In a country of 125 million people, that number barely moves, decade after decade. And here is the part that stops most people cold. Most Japanese women in their 50s have never counted a calorie in their life. They don't track macros, they don't follow a diet with a name. Most of them have never belonged to a gym. So what are they doing instead? Her name is Keiko. She's 54 and lives in Kyoto. Every morning, she wakes up around 6, drinks a glass of warm water, makes herself a small cup of green tea, and eats a light breakfast: a bowl of rice, a spoonful of pickled vegetable, a cup of miso soup. She walks 15 minutes to the train station. At lunch, she eats from 3 or 4 small dishes, put together without any thought of protein grams or sugar content. She comes home in the evening, takes a warm bath, and is in bed by 10:30. She doesn't think of any of this as a health routine, it's just how she lives. Now picture someone else. She's 47, lives outside Chicago. She's been trying. She cut out bread, she downloaded a calorie tracking app. She goes to yoga 3 times a week, sometimes 4. And still, year after year, her waistline keeps changing in ways she doesn't want, and she carries this low hum of guilt about it, this quiet feeling that she must be doing something wrong, that her body is working against her. She's not doing anything wrong. That's the thing. What if the difference between these two women has nothing to do with genetics, willpower, or how many steps they log, and everything to do with 6 habits so small, so woven into the fabric of daily life, that most people would never even call them habits at all? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what those 6 habits are, why each one works, and how you can begin the very first one tonight, before you even go to sleep. We've been taught that staying lean is a math problem. Calories in, calories out. Eat less, move more. Count everything. Japan quietly disproves this every single day. Not because Japanese women eat less, but because they eat differently. They move differently. They think about food, rest, and the body in ways so far removed from what we've been sold that it almost sounds too simple to be real. The female life expectancy in Japan is around 87 years, the highest in the world. The obesity rate sits at roughly 4 to 5%, one of the lowest among all developed countries. These aren't accidents. They're the quiet result of daily choices that stack, almost invisibly, for decades. Here's what those choices look like. Habit 1. Hara, Hachi, Bu. The first habit comes from Okinawa, one of the original blue zones, the handful of places on Earth where people routinely live past 100. Dan Buettner, who spent years documenting these communities for National Geographic, found that Okinawans had been following this rule for generations. The phrase traces back to a Confucian teaching, and it translates roughly to eat until you are 80% full. That's it. That's the whole habit. But here's why it works. When you eat, your body doesn't register fullness right away. The gut takes about 20 minutes to send a clear signal to the brain that enough food has arrived. If you eat at the pace most of us eat, distracted, rushed, in front of a screen, you've already overeaten by the time that signal lands. Every meal, without realizing it. Hara Hachibu is the practice of stopping before that signal arrives, trusting that it's coming even though you can't feel it yet. Keiko doesn't eat until she's stuffed. She eats until she's mostly comfortable. Then she puts her chopsticks down. Not because she's exercising superhuman discipline, but because she grew up in a culture that normalized stopping before the plate was empty. The pause is built into the meal. Think about what that means across a lifetime. One small stop, 3 times a day, 365 days a year. The math isn't dramatic in any single sitting, but over 40 years, it quietly adds up to something that no diet app can replicate. To start this tonight, you don't need to change what you eat. Just slow down enough to check in halfway through. Put your fork down between bites. Ask yourself honestly, am I still hungry or am I just still eating? There's a difference, and your body knows it. You just have to give it enough time to tell you. One more thing about Hara Hachi. It connects to something larger in Japanese life. The same quiet logic behind keeping only what you need, clearing out what you don't, making space rather than filling it. Eat just enough. Own only what you love. Keep only what serves you. It's the same instinct applied at the dinner table. But Hara Hachi only works if you slow down enough to feel it. And the second habit is exactly what makes that possible. Habit 2. Sanpo. In Japan, there's a word, Sanpo. It means a leisurely walk, unhurried, without a particular destination, taken as a pleasure rather than a task. But in the context of daily Japanese life, Sanpo isn't really a scheduled activity. It's what happens between everything else. Japanese women walk. A lot. But not to the gym and back. They walk because the city is built for walking. Because the train station is 15 minutes from home. Because the grocery store is down the street and not in a parking lot you drive to. Walking isn't exercise to them. It's just how you get places. This matters more than it sounds. There's a concept researchers use called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It refers to the energy your body burns not during structured workouts, but during all the movement that fills the rest of the day. Climbing stairs, walking to the corner store, doing things by hand instead of by machine. Researchers have found that NEAT can vary enormously between people, and that variation has a meaningful effect on weight and metabolic health over time. A 45-minute gym session 4 times a week gives you roughly 180 minutes of intentional movement. But walking 15 minutes to and from a train station, choosing stairs at work, strolling to a lunch spot rather than ordering in, that can easily add up to 500 or 600 minutes of movement in the same week, without a single blocked-off hour. You can't replicate a Japanese city, but you can start somewhere. Park at the far end of the lot. Take the stairs once a day. Walk around the block after dinner instead of immediately sitting back down. Not as a workout, not as something you'll track on a watch, just as the way you move through your day. The shift isn't the walking. It's the relationship with movement, from something you schedule and sometimes skip to something that's simply part of how you live. Now here's where mornings become the secret weapon, and most of it happens before breakfast. Habit 3. The morning ritual. Asa no Shukan. In Japan, mornings are quiet. Not rushed, not loud. There's no scrolling in bed, no grabbing coffee on the way to the car, no skipping breakfast and calling it intermittent fasting. The typical morning for a Japanese woman in her 50s often looks like this. Warm water right after waking, a full glass before anything else. Then green tea, drunk slowly. Sencha usually, or on more formal mornings, matcha. Breakfast, when it happens, is small. A bowl of rice, miso soup, a few pickled vegetables. Nothing heavy, nothing sweet. This practice is called asa no shukan, morning habit. And it's less about the specific foods and more about what those first 45 minutes do to everything that follows. Warm water on an empty stomach gently activates the digestive system. It's a softer start than coffee, which can spike cortisol, a stress hormone that's already naturally elevated in the morning, and one we'll return to later because its relationship with body weight runs deeper than most people know. Green tea, and specifically the catechins it contains, a group of antioxidants found in high concentrations in sencha and matcha, has been associated in research with modest metabolic support and fat oxidation. Researchers observe these effects rather than guarantee them, and no single cup will change your body. But the habit of beginning the day with green tea rather than something sweet or heavy is, repeated 10,000 mornings over 30 years, a very different story. A light breakfast means no large insulin spike before the day begins. It means you arrive at lunch without the blood sugar crash that makes you reach for something fast, something dense, something you'll regret by 4 o'clock. None of this morning is dramatic. That's the point. Warm water, a cup of tea, a small, simple meal. That's the whole habit. You can start it tomorrow morning. You already have everything you need. The fourth habit changes how the plate looks, and that changes how much ends up on it. Habit 4. Kozara. Small plates, many dishes. Have you ever noticed that Japanese meals are never one big thing? There's a traditional structure called ichiju sansai, 1 soup, 3 sides. A small bowl of miso, a few bites of grilled fish, some pickled daikon, a little steamed rice. Each dish holds maybe 3 or 4 mouthfuls, but together they fill the tray, and they fill the eyes. This is the habit of Kozara, small plates, and it works not because Japanese women are thinking about portions. They are not counting ounces or measuring serving sizes. They're simply eating from small dishes. That's it. Researchers who study the psychology of eating observe consistently that the size of the plate changes how much a person eats, not because they make a conscious decision to eat more, but because the brain reads the plate differently. A full, small plate looks like a complete meal. A half-full, large plate looks like something is missing, so you fill it. This is portion control by design, not by willpower. The practical shift here is genuinely simple. Use a smaller plate. If you're serving yourself at home, reach for the salad plate instead of the dinner plate. Make 3 small things instead of 1 large thing. Put a little of several things on the table rather than one heavy pot in the center. You will eat less, and you probably won't feel it. There's something else built into this structure. Variety itself is satisfying. When you eat 3 or 4 different things, even small amounts of each, you feel more complete than when you eat a large serving of just one thing. The Japanese meal almost solves overeating by accident. It's just how food has always been served. Stay with me, because habit 5 is the one most Western health conversations rarely talk about, and it might be the piece you've been missing. Habit 5, Hakko Shokuhin, fermented foods and seaweed. If you walked into a Japanese grocery store for the first time, 2 things would catch you off guard. The first is the size of the miso section. Tubs of fermented soybean paste in a dozen varieties, lined up like paint cans. The second is the seaweed. Dried, fresh, pickled, wakame, nori, kombu, in more forms than you knew existed. These are Hakko Shokuhin, fermented foods. And they don't show up in the Japanese diet as a trend or a supplement. They show up every single day as a staple, the way bread shows up in an American kitchen. The gut microbiome, the ecosystem of bacteria living in your digestive tract, plays a role in how the body processes food, manages inflammation, and regulates weight. Researchers studying Japanese populations have observed notably high microbiome diversity compared to Western populations. And diversity in this context is associated with better metabolic health and lower rates of chronic disease. Miso is fermented soybean paste. A tablespoon dissolved in hot water with a piece of wakame seaweed is one of the simplest meals on earth. It's warm, savory, and filling in a way that has nothing to do with volume. It provides probiotics along with a depth of flavor that makes vegetables taste good without trying. A cup of miso soup with lunch or dinner is where most people should start. Natto is harder. It's fermented soybeans, sticky, stringy, with a pungent smell that genuinely surprises most Westerners the first time. But it is extraordinarily nutrient-dense. High in protein, rich in vitamin K2, packed with probiotic bacteria. If you can get there, it's worth getting there. If you can't, start with miso and come back to natto later. Wakame seaweed, served in soups or as a simple salad with sesame and rice vinegar, brings iodine, plant-based fiber, and a mineral profile that's nearly impossible to replicate from other sources. None of this requires a Japanese grocery store. Miso paste is in most supermarkets now. A packet of dried wakame costs almost nothing and lasts for months in the pantry. Start with 1 bowl of miso soup a day. Just that, 1 bowl. And number 6 isn't really a habit at all. It's a shift in how you think about your evenings. And it might be the most important thing in this entire video. Habit 6. Yoru no Shizukesa, the quiet of the evening. After dinner in Japan, the pace changes. There's a practice called ofuro, the evening bath. Not a quick rinse before bed, but a deliberate soak in hot water, usually around 40 degrees Celsius. It relaxes the muscles. It brings the nervous system down. And when you step out of the bath and the body begins to cool, that drop in core temperature signals to the brain that sleep is coming. The body follows naturally, without being forced. After the bath, lights dim. The phone stays out of the bedroom, or off the nightstand at least. Screens go dark. Most Japanese adults are asleep by 10 or 10:30, and they wake at roughly the same time every morning, weekends included. This is Yoru no Shizukesa, the quiet of the evening. It isn't dramatic. There's no white noise machine, no weighted blanket, no sleep supplement. Just a consistent rhythm, protected like it matters. Here is what actually happens when sleep is disrupted. Cortisol rises. Cortisol, when chronically elevated, tells the body to store fat, particularly around the abdomen. At the same time, the hormone ghrelin, which drives hunger, increases. And leptin, which tells the brain you're full, decreases. You wake up the next morning already behind, hungrier than you should be, with a body that's been quietly told to hold on to reserves. Research consistently associates poor sleep quality with higher body weight, particularly in women over 40, when hormonal shifts make the body more sensitive to these fluctuations. A 30-minute workout cannot undo what a disrupted sleep pattern does to the hormones over months. Japanese women, on average, go to bed earlier and more consistently than their Western counterparts. Not because they have more discipline, because the culture has built that rhythm into the day. The ofuro, the early dinner, the dim evenings, they all slope naturally towards sleep at the same time, night after night. Now here's the shift I want you to take from this. This isn't really about weight. It's about deciding that you, your nervous system, your rest, the part of you that has been carrying everything since morning, deserve to be protected after sundown. Japanese women don't earn sleep. They don't save it for a quiet weekend that rarely comes. They treat the evening the way they treat their home and their table, as something that deserves care, something that deserves quiet. That's the habit, not a bedtime, a belief. None of these 6 things look like much on their own. No gym membership, no calorie app, no supplement stack, no meal prep Sunday, no guilt, no starting over on Monday. Just 6 quiet adjustments to how a day unfolds. Eat until you're mostly full, then stop. Walk as part of how you move through the world, not as a separate event you schedule and dread. Start the morning slowly. Warm water, green tea, a small and simple meal. Use smaller plates, more dishes. Add fermented foods to your week. Begin with a bowl of miso soup. And protect your evenings like they belong to you, because they do. Staying lean in Japan isn't a diet you start. It's 100 small defaults you never have to think about. Japanese women don't think about them either. They just live them. And the beautiful thing about all 6 of these habits is that none of them ask you to be at war with your body. There's no deprivation here. No willpower you have to summon from a place you're not sure you have. Just small, livable things, done consistently, long enough to become invisible. Tonight, try 2 of them. Just 2. Eat dinner on a smaller plate. Put your phone in another room at 9 o'clock. That's it. See how you feel tomorrow morning. If this video gave you something useful, share it with a friend who might need it. And subscribe. We cover Japanese habits, home, and mindset every week, and there's much more coming. Which of these 6 habits feels most natural to you? Or is there one that surprised you? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one.